Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Parag Magic about what if Australia had new Pokemon. That's right, and we're continuing on in his series of plus minus Pokemon with his Australia region. Let's go. It's time to see the Oliroot Bug, Bud, and Rodent.
In my Australia-based region,
Oh, please let me a Wombat.
I wanted to have Pokemon that really gave that Australia feeling. And there are certain kinds of Pokemon that exist in almost every Pokemon region. The regional rodent or mammal, as well as the bird, bug, fish, Pika-clone, grass Pokemon, and sometimes even dog or cat. So naturally, I put those very kinds of Pokemon in Ensum. So let's take a look at a few.
I only knew about the first three.
Hey everyone, Brandon here. So let's start off with a Pokemon most encounter right after getting their starter, the Early-root rodent or mammal. So allow me to introduce Walpritty, the stunning striped Pokemon, a pure normal type, who I worked with Fungoospawn to create. This little cutie is based on a rodent-like marsupial called a Numbat. So this Pokemon covers both the rodent and mammal categories. Unlike Walpritty, the Numbat used to be widespread across Australia, but due to habitat loss and predation by foxes and feral cats, it has become an endangered species, though it is now protected by conservation programs. I wanted to highlight this adorable creature through Walpritty. And speaking of highlights, this Pokemon certainly has some vibrant ones, huh? These beautiful stripes are inspired by Australian turquoise, one of the world's rarest and most beautiful turquoises. And the stripes make Walpritty a highly sought after pet across Ensum and the Pokemon world. It has a very mild yet snooty temperament. Even wild Walpritty know that they are the subject of adoration and have developed a holier-than-thou attitude. Walpritty's name comes from the Aboriginal word for the Numbat, Walpurti, and obviously the word pretty, due to its very pretty stripes. And those stripes develop a mind of their own when Walpritty is leveled up to 22 while at night, turning it into Hylaxine, the scary striped Pokemon, a normal ghost type.
Okay, that's actually pretty good.
Ooh, spooky! As its name implies, this Pokemon is based on the extinct Thylaxine or Tasmanian tiger, which are from the same order of marsupials as Numbats, Dasyuromorphia. This creature went extinct in the 1930s due to overhunting for its exotic appearance and human encroachment on their habitat, though there have been several unconfirmed sightings of these animals over the years, turning it into a cryptid of sorts. This line also covers the regional dog, since the Thylaxine is also known as the Tasmanian wolf. Hylaxine used to be a kind of cryptid or modern myth as well, until Walpritty became more widespread. Its dark stripes and bright eye-like marks can cause quite a fright if seen at night, as they look like floating ghostly eyes or orbs glowing in the darkness. These stripes are said to be in control of Hylaxine, like some kind of phantasmal parasite made up of the regrets of Pokemon who moved on to the afterlife. This Pokemon and that Dex entry are actually inspired by the Dream Tiger by Korean artist Govy9807 that went viral in May of last year, leading to several artists redrawing it. Its haunting appearance definitely made me want to incorporate it into some kind of tiger Pokemon in the future, and what better than the extinct Tasmanian tiger? The eyes and their coloration are also based on the evil eye, a symbol which originated in ancient Mesopotamia but still endures today as a symbol of protection from evil, much like these stripes absorb the regrets of Pokemon, helping them pass on in peace.
That name is so counterintuitive though. It's called the Evil Eye, but it protects you from evil?
Rather than morphing into ghosts. I actually wanted to give it a new ability called Evil Eye, which when hit by a Dark-type move, instead of taking damage, its defense is boosted by one stage. Walpritty being based on the Numbat, an endangered animal, evolving into Hylaxine, which is based on an extinct animal, is supposed to be a cautionary tale of sorts. That the same thing could happen to the lovely Numbat if we don't pay mind to endangered animals and assist in conservation efforts where we can. And you can assist me in keeping this channel going by hitting that like button, subscribing, and leaving a comment down below. And if you're up for it, becoming a member. Membership gets you great perks like seeing videos early, a shout out at the end of my videos, and even helping fund one Fakemon a month, which you are credited for, all the while helping support this channel and the artists I work with. So become a member today. Anyway, let's move on to the other most common type of Pokemon found after the starters, the Early-root bird. So allow me to introduce Chickle, the laughter Pokemon, a pure flying type, that I also worked with Fungoose on. This little guy is based on the chick of a laughing kookaburra. These birds are iconic to Australia, and judging by their name, have a very unique way of vocalizing.
I've seen those.
So I definitely had to make this little guy feature laughter in some way. Chickle spends its days laughing at any little thing it finds amusing, much to the annoyance of other Pokemon around, as it finds almost everything funny. Its pink coloration is inspired by gum, aka bubblegum, as well as other sugary treats, as this Pokemon acts as a reference to the song The Kookaburra Sits in the Old Gum Tree. And that inspiration is even furthered when it evolves at level 25 into Burrikin, the hilarity Pokemon, a flying fairy type. Burrikin has this big old gumdrop pattern on its chest, with a tail and plumage that look like chewed up gum. This comes from the lyrics, Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, eating all the gumdrops he can see, and laugh, Kookaburra laugh, Kookaburra gay your life must be. Burrikin's name also...
just pointing that out for many of the Monolith people that don't know that, when that was most likely written, gay meant happy. It didn't mean anything about a person's sexual preference. But oh no, words over time changed. And gay used to mean happy, now it means dude on dude.
Relates to the song, but in a much more esoteric way. Burkin's name comes from kookaburra and larrikin, which is Australian slang for someone who is a bit of a jokester or a mischievous person. Well, do you know who owns the rights to the song Kookaburra Sits in the Old Gum Tree? Larrikin Records. Boom! As such, Burkin has taken to making its own fun, playing little pranks on those around it with its sticky feathers. As I said before, its coloration is inspired by sweet treats, but so is the composition of its feathers, being sticky and sweet like candy, yet light enough to be able to fly.
Now this thing would totally get along with Swollex.
This refers to cotton candy, or as it's known in Australia, fairy floss, a nod to its typing. This would also be a part of its new ability called Sugar Rush, which raises its speed if it consumes a berry or other sweet-held item. Younger folks tend to get a bit mischievous if they're hit with a Sugar Rush, so I thought this ability would fit. The next Pokemon would be the most common across the region, as its inspiration is one of the most common across the world. So here is Mazeet, the Heat Sting Pokemon, a bug fire type, that I worked with JJMons to create. As its name implies, this little guy is based on mozzies, or as we say here in the States, mosquitoes. Mazeet can survive in almost any environment across Ensum, except for the cold peaks of the Frontslide Mountains. Mazeet came to me after I had the thought, what bug would be able to survive in the heat of the outback as well as the more temperate or tropical forests of the continent? And well, they already had the slang word for it, so it kinda just all fell into place. Its more fuzzy appearance and the ability to withstand the hotter areas of Ensum are inspired by Australian Bushmen, which are basically a romanticized version of survivalists on the outback, known for their resourcefulness. Real Bear Grylls types. A well-known one being Russell Coit in All Aussie Adventures, though he isn't a real Bushman and is played by comedian Glenn Robbins. But its singeing proboscis and Bushman inspiration are furthered when it levels up at level 20 into Skeetorch, the Torch Sting Pokemon.
Look at that.
Now its nose is a full-on blowtorch. Arnar, it's a blowtorch. Blowtorch, from which it gets its name. Its abdomen now acts as a repository for the heat or flames it consumes. And I'm going to put a blood trigger warning here, but it is much the same as how mosquitoes store blood that they have sucked up, all the while looking like a lava lamp. These special modifications to a mosquito-based Pokemon refers to GMM. And no, it doesn't stand for one of my favorite channels, Good Mythical Morning. It stands for Genetically Modified Mosquitoes. Australian scientists recently developed a way to modify the proboscis of mosquitoes, making it unable to pierce skin, thus unable to transmit the many, sometimes lethal, diseases they carry. The Bushman inspiration also is more apparent here.
Actually, no. Why not just make it so the mosquito cannot carry the gene at all? I mean, the virus, whatever.
Looking like an older gruff man with the iconic Bushman hat and everything. And there is a Pokemon line in Ensum that is happy that Skeetorch can't handle cold environments. And its name is Frent, the Tree Friend Pokemon, a pure grass type that I also worked with JJMons on. This easygoing evergreen is our de facto grass Pokemon for the region, a la Oddish, Smoliv, Bounsweet, or Seedot. It mainly resides in the forests around the Frontslide Mountains. We have Trevenant, but I felt there was room for a more friendly-looking Ent or Treant Pokemon on the roster. Plus, conceptually, it is much different. Its bark is especially different as it is inspired by the Snow Gum Eucalyptus, which has this bark that almost looks like a painting of browns and whites. This kind of tree is found in the same part of Australia that Frent is found in Ensum, and is actually where you can evolve it. So at level 20, while on the Frontslide Mountains, Frent evolves into Calyptric, the tree-born Pokemon, a grass ice type. Quite the color change, right? Well, that's because Calyptric is based on the rainbow eucalyptus, which aren't actually native to Australia, but can be found in the same area as the snow gum, and like the snowboarders who this Pokemon is inspired by, with many tourists and residents coming to the snowy mountains of Australia. And I'm not joking, that is their actual name, and not a name I just made up for an area in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. You can see Calyptric has these tree gnarls made to look like goggles, and a coloration that comes together to look like a snowboarding jacket in the decal on the bottom of a board. Truly, this is one of my favorite Pokemon I've ever made because of how effortlessly everything felt when making this mon. Its name comes from eucalyptus and lip trick, which is used in both snowboarding and skateboarding to describe tricks that require different varieties of balance on the lip of a ramp. Calyptric shreds with the best of them, surfing down the Frontslide Mountains in acrobatic style, using trees as rails and mountains as ramps. Speaking of surfing, our regional fish has a bit to do with that, so let me introduce Speedle, the pointy swimmer Pokemon, a pure water type. This little dude is based on the flat needlefish, which can be found worldwide in tropical and temperate seas, such as those found in Australia, and is considered a game fish. Its general body shape and pose give the appearance of a quill pen, with quill pens being sharp, pointy, and needle-like, which ties into the fact that I most definitely wanted to give it the kind of small, almost pathetic fish trope like Feebas, Magikarp, or Wishy-Washy, so it has this pattern around its eye and along its side to emulate glasses, giving it that old-school Poindexter feeling. Speedle are incredibly fast and agile swimmers. They developed this to escape from stronger, bulkier fish that might try to battle them. They can be found all over the coast of Ensum, which you would be traveling along as the gym challenge would have you circumnavigating the region. Anyway, at level 30, Speedle evolves into Sailonch, the sea cutter Pokemon.
Oh, that's based on a Marlin now.
Water dragon type. This sharp-finned and even sharper-nosed Pokemon is inspired by the Indo-Pacific sailfish, which are known as the fastest fish in the ocean, clocking in at speeds over 68 miles per hour. It is also inspired by sailboats and windsurfing. The point of its nose is shaped to emulate the bow of a ship, and its sail looks like both sails used on said ships and the sails attached to the surfboards used in windsurfing.
You know, in all my years, I think this is actually maybe the first time I'm seeing a Fakemon that's like a Marlin, aka a short swordfish. Yes, I know he said it's based on a sailfish, but still, come on now.
Absolutely had to have some form of surfing Pokemon in this region, with the region being surrounded by water and Australia being a premier location for surfing. But like, Mantine surfing? Really? Nah. I wanted something better and more fun to control. So we have Sailonch, the high-speed, high-flying fish Pokemon to fill that role. Sailonch are used around Ensum for both travel and sport. They are faster than a Sharpedo, yet easier to control with their many fins to provide stability while in motion. Just attach a big old mount to its dorsal fin and you are ready to go. I should mention these guys are big enough to fit a trainer or two on their back with ease. Last but certainly not least, we have the Pika clone, which has been found in every region since Gen 3, and debatably Gen 2, but that's an argument for another day. Anyway, our Pika clone for Ensum is Bilbolt, the Bilby Pokemon, a pure electric type, that I worked with Anars Destray to create. Its category kinda gives it away, but it's based on the Bilby, a long-snouted, big-eared marsupial that is yet another endangered one, with the greater Bilby being the only remaining living species. Bilbolts would also be fairly uncommon throughout the region.
Hold on, I have to say this real quick. Marketable plush!
Found in a few select areas scattered across Ensum. And if you're thinking, Bilbolt sure looks like a rabbit, that was on purpose, as it is also nicknamed the rabbit-eared bandicoot, as the two animals are related, coming from the same order. Which leads me perfectly into Bilbolt's evolution. Brandicoot, the bandicoot Pokemon, an electric fire type. So you remember how I said Bilbies are endangered and look like rabbits? Well, in an attempt to raise awareness of its endangered status, Australia has the Easter Bilby instead of the Easter Bunny, so Brandicoot acts as a reference to that, with its body having fiery Easter egg patterns as well as being generally egg-shaped, and retaining those long Bilby ears, which now have little fires inside them. Its fire typing comes from the heat generated by the ears of the Bilby, and the fact that much of the plant diet of the Bilby is facilitated by fires that occasionally run through Australia, and provide the regrowth of the plants that the Bilby prefers. And if you're thinking, that's nice. Brandicoot looks like and is conceptually similar to Azumarill. That was also on purpose. Many think of Marill as a Pika clone, which it isn't, because it neither has the cheek pouches nor the electric type, which applies to Mimikyu as well. So this Pokemon acts as an official Pika clone with those Marill and Azumarill attributes. I would also give it huge
I guess technically you could create a secondary category called the failed Pika clone.
Power as an ability to further the reference. Being a physically bulky Pokemon with two of the more special types I felt would be fun, and give a Pika clone some viability in battle. And those are some Australia-inspired Pokemon. Thanks so much to our incredible members whose names you can see on screen for supporting this channel with their hard-earned money.
Alright, I can't wait to see what it makes next time. Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all y'all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.